Welcome to Good Goobyes, the Funeral Facts podcast. We are really glad you found us. In this podcast, me, Simon, a funeral director,
and me, Tina, I'm an independent celebrant.
We're going to discuss all things funeral in an informal space to demystify what happens when we say goodbye.
Based on your questions and queries, Si and myself are two industry professionals that are going to chat through the hows, whats and wherefores. We actively work in the funeral industry in Devon in the UK. So, we hope you enjoy the episode ahead. Welcome to Good Goobyes. Hello, welcome to Good Goobyes. This is Tina.
And this is Si. Thanks for joining us today. We are going to talk about an interesting subject, one that doesn't come up all that often, but when it does, it's an absolute minefield. We are going to talk about burial at sea.
That's so interesting, isn't it? Is there a lot of requests for that then, Si? You said it doesn't come up very often.
Yeah, it's one of those that, I mean, in our part of the world, because we're on the south coast here in Devon, the sea is a big part of what we do in our day-to-day life. It's being by the coast. So we are probably a little more often than some of the other areas. If you look at places like Plymouth, where there's a huge Navy contingent, they certainly do it more than we do. But other parts of the country probably won't ever do it. It's one of those that's so specific. It really is.
Yeah. And there are only specific areas, I think, aren't there, where you can be buried at sea? Is that right?
Yes, there's only actually 3 places in England that you can be buried at all at sea, which is the Needles off the Isle of Wight, between Hastings and Newhaven on the Sussex coast, so south coast again, and then North Tyneside up in the northeast of England. So that's it. That's your 3. So it's all to do with sort of how deep the area of sea is, the currents, far away from fishing routes. There's lots of consideration, and that's why it's so specific to those 3 places.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's quite specific. There's nothing really in the southwest. I mean, the Isle of Wight is as close as it gets to us here. But yeah, you think of the whole kind of western side of the UK, so Bristol Channel, west of Wales, Liverpool, that sort of area, that whole western side of the UK, there are no places at all to be buried at sea.
And you have to get a license for this, I suspect, don't you?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting the differences because there's certain rules on the body itself, actually. So you have to be free from infection and things like that, which is kind of a bit of a funny one. You can't be embalmed. There's certain rules with that. But yeah, the notice form that has to be submitted has to be signed by the coroner. Lots and lots of little rules about this. The body itself, you've got to have an ID tag on that's going to last as a kind of a just in case measure. There's lots of different rules around it. It really is. It's not straightforward, although there's some fascinating videos on YouTube worth going to watch, because the actual final action is not quite as gentle as sort of lowering the coffin into the ground.
I think I've seen something like this before. I mean, when you say about the not having a fever, I suppose the fish do live in the sea, don't they? So we don't want to give them anything. But yeah, I once did watch one of those YouTube videos of, and I imagine someone being gently lowered into the water.
No.
But it's a bit more of a cannonball kind of like swoosh, isn't it?
Yeah, the platform raises up, off you slide from 10, 15 feet or whatever it is to the water, and that's that.
Off you go.
The coffin is kind of weighted. It's got holes in it to help it sink. You're straight in and straight to the bottom, really.
So there are certain things about the coffin
Yes, so again, really quite specific to the sort of job in hand, really. Obviously, the coffin is weighted, so as to get it to sink. It's got holes in it. Usually, as well, there's sort of steel bands wrapped around the coffin, lengthways and widthways, so that when it does kind of degrade down, the body stays still where it is. And it's a funny one, because you don't imagine bodies washing up on shore.
No.
They're far enough off the coast, and it's like we've already mentioned, the currents, the tides. It's really important, and that's why those places have been chosen. But they have to be aware of it. They have to be put sort of double check measures in to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, so it feels respectful.
Yeah. Obviously, families sometimes want to join, and depending on which company you use for burial at sea, because only a few of those around. It's funny, we're in Budleigh Salterton. The next tiny little village along is Collerton Raleigh, and the Britannia Shipping Company for burial at sea are there. So we actually have a burial at sea company a mile away. It's very funny as it lands, but they will, depending on the charter as it is, depends on whether you can join them or not.
Yeah. And in our Ashes episode, which I'll do a link to in the show notes for people, we did talk about the fact that some of the scattering of ashes is out at sea, and I know the Royal Navy provide a service for scattering ashes, and they do that for people who were in the Royal Navy and the Royal Marines, and that goes from Portsmouth and Plymouth and the Clyde, I think.
Oh right, yes, yeah, indeed, yeah.
Yeah, so
it's one of those that ashes are. I mean, we've done scattering trips as well. It's not quite so tough rules wise, I suppose, than a full body burial, and that applies across the board. But yeah, it's I don't know what I'm trying. I can't get my words out. Yeah, that doesn't happen very often. I usually chat away.
I think there's just quite a lot to think about, isn't there? Because it doesn't happen very often. And there are rules, aren't there? You have to have a marine license, and like you said, you have to have your death certificate, a certificate of the freedom from infection. There's quite a lot of ruly type things, isn't there, Si? I think.
Yeah, I think that's why there's only so many places and so many companies that do it, because it really is pretty specific, and like I said, not all that common.
Yeah.
Worth having a little watch, though. Like we said about the YouTube videos, have a little look at it, because it is fascinating to see.
Yeah. I'll link that in as well, then, in the show notes. And then there's a government website that has some of the information that we've been talking about. So we'll pop all those links all in for you if you are considering or getting involved in a burial at sea.
Yeah, absolutely. Naval background, that's sort of the big community, but there's nothing to stop anyone doing it.
No, that's true.
Yeah. Excellent. Right. Well, good chat. Interesting subject today. Thanks for joining us. Any questions, as always, get in touch on the socials or send us a message, and we will catch you at the next one.
Perfect. Thank you, Si.
You've been listening to Good Goobyes, the Funeral Facts podcast. Please do like, subscribe, comment and share. Drop any questions on our social media, on Instagram, or in the text option in the show notes.
Si and I are qualified professionals, but we always advise our clients to seek any additional support from medical practitioners if they need to. And we hope you enjoyed this episode. Stay well and be kind to one another.